Okay, as people are kind of trickling in, we can get started. Um, so what I would like to do first is to let everyone know that this presentation will be recorded. So I've turned off your mics and cameras for now. And what we can do is, if you have a question, is please just type it in the chat. You should have access to that. And as you think of questions too, type them in the chat. We can address them in the Q&A at the very end of the session. Okay, so I'm going to turn my camera off as I'm talking. Okay, here we go. So just some housekeeping items here. Like I said, cameras and microphones are turned off. Type in your questions in the chat. And we are recording now, and this recording will be shared with the larger group after the session. So, but if you're looking to reference this recording again, we will be emailing out a link to the recording likely by tomorrow morning. So just a little introduction on myself. My name is Sue. I am the marketing coordinator for continuing education. And this is about my 8th month, like I was saying to Dr. Saini. And really for me, it's continuing education is so important because I wouldn't be in my position today working as a marketing coordinator if it weren't for continuing education classes. So very, very grateful and understand the importance of continuing education as well. I wanted to just go through just an overview of our department. So continuing education at the University of Windsor offers non-credit courses, training programs, certificates for both personal and professional development. All of our courses are open to the public. We really wanted to capture a diverse range of learners as well, and learners from the community and beyond. And we understand that traditional educational programming isn't necessarily for everyone. So we really wanted to gear these courses towards those that have a willingness to learn first and foremost, and want to upskill or seeking a career transition. Namely, any type of learner who has a willingness to learn, including, seniors, alumni, working professionals, current students, just a wide range. And we've seen a very diverse range with even our current continuing education learners as well, for different purposes of why they want to take any of our courses. So it's also good to learn with a variety of people from different backgrounds, educational backgrounds and work backgrounds as well. So that's also one of our key goals as well, is to just kind of get everyone together and learn together. So the courses that we have are very flexible. They're short. Most are online. Most you don't need necessarily a full academic degree to take our classes. We offer weekend and evening classes in different formats, asynchronous and synchronous as well. So just wanted to show sort of a range of what we have to offer in terms of continuing education. Our department partners with industry experts like Dr. Saini, who is very accomplished in her field, and to provide or deliver our cybersecurity certificate, along with industry partners that we have for our other programs as well. So a lot of our courses range from business to health sciences to science and technology to arts and culture. So we do offer a wide range, and we're always adding and refining new programming. And it's based off of industry demand and the research that we've done to see, I guess, and identify some of the skill gaps within our community as well, and offer learning opportunities that way too. So just going through a little bit of an agenda of what we're going to be talking about for the cybersecurity info session is We'll do a quick industry overview. We'll talk about the career trends in cybersecurity. We'll go into the program details. And we'll also have a Q&A at the end of the session to address any of other questions that you may have for this program. So with me today, cybersecurity instructor, Dr. Ikjot Saini. So Dr. Saini is an automotive cybersecurity professional whose research is focused on the connected and autonomous vehicles, covering the security and privacy of V2X and in-vehicle security. She has published many research papers and journal articles, including V2X privacy schemes, engineering privacy attacks for equitable assessment, DSRC, network congestion, and routing protocols. Dr. Saini is an assistant professor in the School of Computer Science at the University of Windsor. She's also an independent security consultant. She's serving as the academic director of the Automotive Security Research Group and chapter lead at Windsor. She is currently serving as a member of the APMA Cybersecurity Committee as a V2X technology expert. Dr. Saini is passionate about cybersecurity and is leading voice promoting women's participation and leadership. She was the winner of the Cyber Women of the Year Award, one of the Cyber Mobility Awards in 2020, and inaugural We Tech Alliance Women in Tech of the Year Award in 2019. She has been featured in 2020 Canadians to Watch, in the 2020 Canadians to Watch by Auto News Canada, and is also a founder of SHIELD, Automotive Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, among many other accomplishments. With that said, I will turn it over to Dr. Saini. Anything you need to add to your very accomplished biography? Truly very privileged to have you teach this course again. You're very much an industry expert, and glad to have you within our Windsor community as well.
Thank you, Sue. That was quite a detailed biography, and thank you for having that shared here. I would not add anything more to that. The one thing that should be the focus here is the certificate in security that we are going to deliver from Continuing Ed. I just want to emphasize why is it important for me. It's kind of an act for giving back and also raising awareness around security and having more professionals in our area and Windsor Essex region. So this is, I see as a bridge to lower the barrier if there is any, and so that we can have more people getting involved in this area. So one of the things that is required in security is usually the certifications, and this is exactly what I'm trying to do through this certificate by teaching it and being the instructor. So let's start the industry overview. It might be quite interesting to see later on that what do you guys think about cybersecurity, but from an industry standpoint, let's talk about some of the stats. The global cybersecurity services market size in 2019 reached a value nearly $66.86 billion. That is an increase of 9.4% since 2015. So seeing a little bit of historical data that shows that there has been an increase in the overall turnout on the market. But what is going to happen in the recent years, and well, especially from 2019 to 2023, the rate is going to go 8% more. That means there is going to be more market increase, and that will need more skills and more talent in this region, specifically in this vertical. So this market is expected to grow with 10.4% to nearly 110.99 billion by 2025, which is about round where we are today, and 182.32 billion by 2030. I would still say this is a fact that was got by a market research previously, but as we are seeing the changes in the information landscape, this trend is only going to increase, and more we are going to see the shifts in the cybersecurity requirements and the industry demand. So that said, this industry is rapidly growing, and overall we will be having more jobs, and the jobs that we haven't seen in the market in the previous years, we will be having those jobs by 2025 and 2030. So this increase is also leading to the requirement of people in this sector. And one of the misconceptions, we will also discuss about this later, that I have to be from a background that is closely with the IT or maybe engineering, that would make me capable of learning and being part of the security sector. That's actually a misconception, and it's actually not like that. You might be having a psychology background, and actually you might not know, but that is quite important to be a social engineer and understanding the defense mechanism around it. So industry actually needs a quite amalgamation of people in this field. Can we go to the next slide, Sue? So in 2019, ISC Square is one of the leading certification. It provides all sorts of different certification in security and quite industry recognized. So they have done this cybersecurity workforce study, and they do it every year. So one of the interesting facts that came out of that study was 36% of North American cybersecurity professionals lack the skill and experience required for the job. And this fact remains same unless we have some percentage changes. But this is quite a fact that still remains. The reason being the technology moves so fast that we need to keep the pace same for the changing security. That means it needs the upskilling and reskilling of the people already in the field, as well as people who are around this job, but they are not aware of the upcoming or the changes that in their organization are happening with respect to security. So the employment gap in IT security in North America specifically was estimated to be 560K jobs. And in this particular study, we can see that this is just the North American portion, and within that we have two countries basically, and among that we see a huge gap when it comes to how much skill there is, and then what kind of skills are there, and in different verticals or sectors you would be able to apply it differently. Next slide. So specifically, if we talk and get it to a narrower from a, let's zoom in into the region, and if in Ontario we look from for the job perspective, these are categorized as good for those looking for the work and information analyst and quality assurance. So this is one of those among all the other industry jobs that goes into security. There are different labels and different names and different titles, but all comes with one kind of core requirement. That means you need to have a degree plus a certification that shows that you have a security background. And one of the most required and desired such certification, industry certification, is CISSP. So this is one of the certifications. It's kind of a holy book. If you're gonna work on this and read this through, you appear for this exam, and it's kind of covers the 12 different domains of cybersecurity. And it is quite comprehensive, and it is mainly as equivalent to a degree. It's in UK actually. In fact, it gives equivalent to a master's degree. So you can understand how comprehensive CISSP certification is. Next slide. Yeah, I think you're gonna go there.
Yep, I can go through some of the career trends here. So in terms of career trends and what you can expect when looking for a career in cybersecurity is that based off of the stat and ZipRecruiter, there's really a very wide salary range in this profession. So starting at anywhere from 22,000 per year to upwards of 200,000 per year. It is important to note that there is a lot of room for progression in this career. So even if you are starting at an entry level position, and if you have the appropriate and updated qualifications, it can really open up opportunity for higher salary ranges and different roles within the profession as well. So according to Job Bank, Windsor ranges from $26 to $64 an hour for an information systems quality assurance analyst position. And of course, this varies by location and job type. These are just a few of samples of job titles that you can find on any job search site. So note that there isn't necessarily the word cybersecurity within the job title, but these jobs do require knowledge in cybersecurity. We do encourage you to check some postings yourself to see what is required and what the demand is for this. And this program will definitely give you that competitive edge when you're applying to jobs within IT and cybersecurity. So another thing to note is that you don't have to be already working in IT to transition to a career in cybersecurity. So here are just a few more stats demonstrating this. And Dr. Saini, if you want to elaborate a little bit more on this slide.
Sure. So if that's what I mentioned earlier. So this is another study in 2021 that's done again by IC Square, cybersecurity workforce study. What's interesting about this particular fact that we are seeing here in the stats that 17% transition from unrelated career fields. And it's not just a fact. I met so many people who are in positions of CISO, which is Chief Information Security Officer, and if you ask them, because this particular job title didn't exist in until 2000s, and when it started, we didn't have the degrees, we didn't have the courses, so that's the very reason we didn't have people in expert in this area, and that was called cybersecurity and have such certifications. So that's why we see a lot of people coming from the different backgrounds, and these are the transitions that happens having no whatsoever, like having geography as or history as a background, and then coming as a cybersecurity expert later on in the field. So that's the 17% from transitions. 15% gained access through cybersecurity education. This is quite a good fact that if you have such a certification like the one we are discussing here, this actually open pathways in the future. Even if you don't think about going in this field today, maybe after having this certification, you will have the chance later in the future to gain more skills and be narrow in a field, because you will explore that there are many other fields within security. It's a big, huge domain itself. And 15% explored cybersecurity concepts on their own. And that's very true to people who are young, because I've seen people getting a degree, but they don't have the courses and curriculum in when they're completing any of the programs and with any academic background. But then they go ahead and then self-explore. It's kind of pure curiosity that leads them to be a cybersecurity professional. And what's a good fact and helping factor here, that the companies who hire such people, like who have learned by themselves or coming from unrelated cybersecurity fields, they would actually see the capacity of their learning, and if they have the willingness, and then they will offer them to reskill, kind of get the cybersecurity education within the company and then go forward. So that's one of the facts that I learned throughout my journey and people around me, apart from this cybersecurity study. Next slide, please. So now here is the time when you guys would tell us what comes to your mind when you hear the word cybersecurity, or why do you think it's important? So please comment in the chat, have a moment or two to think about it. It can be a word, it can be a line or a few lines. But what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about cybersecurity? Penetration testing, that's a good one. We all rely on cyber systems. When there is a flaw in the security of a platform, it puts all users at risk. Quite honestly, it's the systems around us and information all around us that needs the security, and I think that makes sense. And also penetration testing, in case some of you don't know, it's the hacking, we call it. and finding the flaws and looking from a red team's perspective. There is no right or wrong answer in this case. We just wanted to know what do you guys think. All right, I think we can move to the next slide. So it seems like we understand security to the basic terms that, okay, dealing with computer viruses, such as what's happening right now. Yeah. Yeah, so it's the malware virus. If you're using a computer system, if you're using even an email, you are actually actually you should be aware of the cyber hygiene. And if you're using the basics of computer systems, especially when it comes to emails, we are tied and bound to use them, but there is little of the awareness that's around it. What kind of information should be uh, should be there for cybersecurity, especially with the emails, because I'm saying it is prone to malware, virus, phishing, and all sorts of these social engineering aspects. And also with the computer virus, it's nothing new. If you have a computer system, you might be aware of this. With the times when it was a floppy disk that was used, now we have internet. The impact and the scope just goes beyond our capabilities to actually prevent them sometimes. And that's the very reason when we have more connectivity as we have today, it's when it becomes pervasive connectivity. So we will have systems connected to each other all the time, and it just makes it more difficult sometimes to be having kind of firewalls and be sure that everything is protected and not getting hacked. All right. So this is the another question, which is why is it important? So first question was, what do you think about security? And this is why cybersecurity is important. If you guys would like to write down a line or so. So our data is not breached. Yeah, you can say that. Important for securing databases, which we also can call information. Keeping your information and the information of others in your organization safe, right? So the scope varies if we are talking about personal service hygiene. So if you're using a system, you are connected, it's all up to you. It's your information, making sure how important it is and how are you making it secure. On the other side, if you're working in an organization and you're responsible for that information, then it's again comes to the mechanisms and setups that you put in security perspective, and what kind of methods and systems will you use to prevent such attacks. And actually this certificate is going to go in detail for the organization's point of view, and it will talk about different ways in which it requires security. And it's not just the like virtual abstract notion, it's also touching on the cyber physical systems, in which you would also see if you are a security professional within an organization, how you need to make sure that some of the systems are even separated within the physical space. So it's not just the virtual or connected systems. Yes, well, okay. All right, let's move to the next slide. Okay, so these are some of the examples here. We can see that from the job banks. One of the such jobs as Information Systems Quality Assurance Analyst in Ontario. So if we go through a few of these requirements, these are the exact requirements which are also covered in the certification, industry certifications, depending on which one are you looking for. And there is kind of a mapping and you can also define it. So design, develop, and implement information systems business solutions. First of all, whenever we have such security solutions, you need to understand what the business requirements are and what kind of information you're trying to secure. And to understand that first, you go through a kind of a check, and then we design, develop, and implement these systems on for the particular business solution needs. Then provide advice on the information system strategy, policy, management, and service delivery. So it's not purely technical when it comes to the security. You also need to take care of the policies and the management. So it's kind of an intertwining for the management and technical aspects. That means that by saying that, I mean that if there is an organizational change, then it also impacts the technicality in which a business solution is being implemented. So whenever we have a choice of a software or hardware that is going to be new to the organization, it needs to kind of follow the compliance methods for that particular industry. For example, if it's a fintech, you would have credit card transactions, and for that you are storing some information, and that particular software, hardware, or business solution that you have bought, if you're, let's say, using cloud mechanism, then how it's going to be compliant with all the industry standards that you have. So that's what this particular job role would do for information systems quality assurance analyst. It would kind of have a checklist and make sure that all of these follow the security requirements in respective manner for technical and management. Next slide. And then knowledge and skill requirement for the same job role. So we have here analysis. Analysis and analyzing the information, planning and projecting outcomes. Again, going back to there is a kind of a workflow here for this kind of a position where you would not just develop something, but actually plan and architect it. And it also is more like you know the outcome that you want, kind of a solution, but you also need to understand what you already have and what you're going to integrate more into it. So it's kind of take the planning, and that's why it's also in a way you are becoming an architect of that particular plan. Next is communication, advising, and professional communication, managing the and processing information, law and public safety, digital technology, and lastly, we have computer information systems. So this is kind of the basic information that you need for that role for building and repair equipment and systems. Again, it is not completely just the knowledge and the concepts that you build, but also understanding to the basics of the physical systems and their security as well. Next slide. So this certificate, this cybersecurity certificate is now divided into two parts. And overall, this certificate is mapped to one of the industry desired industry certifications, which is also called as CompTIA Security Plus. If you are not aware of this, I would appreciate that if you go online and find more information. Why I'm mentioning this? Because Security Plus is kind of the entry level one of those certificates. If you don't have any other, if you are coming from a different academic background, or you have been working in a different field, now you want to transition, and also even if you're in IT and you want to get into cybersecurity, so this is one of those which will kind of make a bridge for you to get into the field. Rather than just jumping to CISSP levels of certification, it is better to go for Security Plus and then later on explore more on which field within security you like, and then go for such certification. But this kind of certification would help you to open the more pathways in the future and actually appearing for the job interviews for security roles. So this is also a longer, long in terms of when you prepare for this certification. So that's why we have here into two of the parts. The first one is introduction to system security, really learning about different threats, attacks, and vulnerabilities, which are not limited to the information flows and the networks, but also getting into the applications and the systems and what different solutions are being used. The next is by understanding that, then we have a knowledge base for the architecture and design for these system security. And the second one covers the system implementation. After the design, the next comes to how would you implement it? What are some of the considerations you should have when you are implementing that in an organization? And then operations and incidents response, governance, risk, and compliance. The last one here is important, and quite honestly, it is often ignored by security professionals until it becomes mandatory for them to realize even if they have this technical solution, they might not be able to implement it completely. And even they have it implemented, might not be accepted in the industry. So there are some of the things that you should be aware of when it comes to the technicalities. But with the different standards, the compliance is always about the industry standards. And the governance is that we need to have some sort of oversight and a risk assessment that is also discussed in the last one. So this online certificate is going to cover all these different aspects and the key concepts which are really desired and required in the industry. So if you're in IT, this is going to be a little bit easier transition. If you are not, you would find out that the buzzwords that you have been hearing all along whenever you are on the internet or kind of like cloud technology, you might be using it all the time, but even you are not planning to get into this particular field, but if you have the knowledge, you would know how to use these systems and be a well-aware um, user in the internet age. Yeah, so next slide. So this certificate would have a lot of, I think, instructor training in this case, like having the discussions and the topics in a synchronous manner. But then out of the classwork would include the readings before the class. So that would approximately need 2 hours because otherwise some of the concepts can be difficult. And then quiz after each module, which is more like to test your own understanding and learning. And then some of the practice, which is optional. There will be labs with these quizzes, and then based on that, you would be able to demonstrate yourself, and maybe if you want to work in a team, then working through those practices is really going to show you what you can do with different tools and demonstrate. Last one is the final documentation submission. So this documentation will be based on the labs that you will be doing. So labs are kind of the little activities which are inserted in each one of the modules. So it will allow you to explore those concepts and actually would be helpful for you to see by yourself what you can do with these. Some of them are open source tools, so they are actually available to all of us all the time. And really based on your pace, you can finalize this documentation and submit it by the end. Next slide.
Okay, so I can go through a little bit more about the courses themselves. So the schedule is Wednesdays, 5:30 to 8:30. So in the evenings, once a week. Cybersecurity 1 starts May 11th, so this spring to June 29th. Cybersecurity 2 starts in the fall, September 21st. And really, there are no formal prerequisites, but we do expect learners to have a few of the following. So successful completion of grade 12 or equivalent, successful completion grade 12 math, English language proficiency, basic computer skills or course completion, fundamental computer applications such as Word. You can find all details about this program at continue.uwindsor.ca, and at any time where if you can't think of any questions right now during this info session, you can always email us at continue@uwindsor.ca with any other questions that you can think of. We're happy to answer them, and We can also, if you have a question for the instructor, we can route them to Dr. Saini as well. But we're really responsive within that email as well. So please feel free to ask us any questions that you can think of later on. Another thing is in terms of the fees. So the full certificate is $1,170 plus HST. So this includes both Cybersecurity 1 and 2. Cannot be used with any other discounts. However, you can take the courses individually. Now, it's important to note that a prerequisite for Cybersecurity 2 is Cybersecurity 1. So if you at this point only want to take Cybersecurity 1, the individual course is $650 plus HST. Discounts can be applied to this. UWindsor alumni, staff, and students are eligible for a discount for this. So just email continue@uwindsor.ca for the discount code. There is a required textbook for this course as well. So the CompTIA Security Plus review guide. And you'll be able to find some varying costs on this on Amazon as well. Again, details are on continue.uwindsor.ca. If you want to look more into it, please, again, email us if you have any other questions. And then with that, we could start the Q&A. If there's any other questions that you may have or want us to address within this info session, we do have time for that. There was a question that came through of whether or not we will be sharing this recorded session, and yes, we will be. You can expect an email tomorrow with a link to this video, and then an overview of the course as well. So I guess one question that I had as we're waiting for other questions to come in is the Security Plus certification. How does that, so when you're writing the exam, is it currently like online, or how does that sort of process work? Oh, I think you're frozen.
Hi, I'm back.
Oh, okay, great.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, one question was the Security Plus exam. Do you, I guess, what would be the process, I guess, to write it? So within this program, it prepares you for the exam. However, students need to write it individually, right, on their own,
Yeah.
on their own time. Yep.
Yeah. So this is more like the training and the exercises. So usually what happens, it's in fact very true that if you are preparing for such a certification, it might be difficult to have a study group around that and to learn by yourself and appear for such exams while you're doing your job or maybe enrolled in the other programs. So this, if you are enrolling in such a certificate, I think it would prepare, not only prepare you, but also if you just want to write it down right after the completion, it would be super useful for you to have that. Even if you won't have it, and you can show to your prospective employer that you have covered all the contents, and that actually would demonstrate that you have covered everything. But after maybe hiring or maybe before that, they would like you to have appeared for the exam itself. But usually what is required is that you can demonstrate that you have the understanding of all the concepts that are covered in Security Plus. So the security certificate itself would not be having an exam for Security Plus, but you can write that particular industry certificate by yourself. But you will be prepared by the end.
Great, thank you. There's another question that came in. Is it mandatory to know Python or any other high-level programming language?
No, actually, funny enough, that seems like a common question. Uh, so you don't need to have any understanding actually for cybersecurity. because you might be going into not into the programming side and maybe into the different aspects of the security, so that's make it not mandatory to learn or have the understanding of any coding language. But if you do know Python or any other language, that is going to help you, and it's kind of a benefit. And then you can explore more into the different other sites which needs the code heavy, uh, actually more desirable to have the coding skills, but it's not mandatory. Math is not also involved, but you need to have the understanding when it there is a little bit of the math though, some formulas there, but not kind of a differential or calculus.
I should also mention that this class is conducted online. I don't think I actually mentioned that, so it'll
Yes.
be completely virtual.
Yeah. So somebody asked, so there are no functions or algorithms required now? There are no requirements for that.
Yeah, and I think this is good to know too, because I think a lot of the concern and fear is for someone that's not in IT or does not know any programming languages, that, the concern is, oh no, this might be too hard for me, but it actually isn't.
So if you are a good learner, or like you have been just you like to know about the systems, I think it's security itself is purely based on curiosity, and it is more conceptual and technical in terms of understanding what you can do, and then after knowing that, then you can apply whatever you go for. For example, I have many people doing their PhDs in social engineering at this time of the out of all the times that we have previously, and coming from psychology background and then doing a PhD in security for that reason. The reason being that it's not just the algorithms in Python that they need, it's more about what you can do with this information and how it can be manipulated and how the technical people actually can prevent it. So once you get into the cybersecurity sphere, you would understand that it's not just the technicalities, it comes to the abstract notions and concepts which are required there as well. So not a software required. The only ask that I would have, and also this is, I would not make it as a mandatory for the learners. Somebody mentioned in the beginning penetration testing. One of the things that you should have is kind of a virtual machine on your system, whichever operating system you're using. And on top of that, if you install a Kali Linux, that will give you, and throughout the course and the program, you will be able to explore different tools within that. So it's not required, but if you do it this way, this is going to make your system safe from failure if you are using some of the tools.
After this course, do we learn any syntax using terminal?
I'm not sure what does it mean by we learn any syntax using terminal, but if you are installing Kali Linux and we are working on that, you're definitely going to work on terminal a lot. For performing those labs and activities, you need to have that understanding. And it's quite straightforward, it's not that difficult.
This course too, just to mention, our online learning platform is Blackboard. Some of you may already be familiar with it, but this course will be delivered through Blackboard, your submissions and everything. Will this course offer knowledge outside the scope of computer science degree?
Yeah. Yeah, it will have, so it will take you to kind of a journey when you start seeing an organization and the changes that needs to happen or that happen from an organization standpoint rather than just, because in computer science degree, we talk a lot about the computer system itself. So when we talk only about system, we forget about how the organization needs to make those changes, which happens. And in this particular course, we talk from top-down approach. We have organization and then management and then different departments and their interconnectivity, and all those things need security. So there is there are two major concepts in security. One is operational security, and the another one is IT security. So this particular certificate is not limited to IT security. It is also going to explore heavily into operational security. So that will take you definitely out of CS degree. I hope I answer your question, Matt.
Okay, so we have a question. We don't know the schedule for next semester, so what if there are any clashes amongst the courses? So just email us at continue@uwindsor.ca if this happens to happen. I mean, the schedule is pretty set in terms of this course specifically, but we can sort of discuss if this comes up. Please just email us letting us know of your scheduling conflict. Would this certificate help us getting any jobs in cybersecurity analysts or starting stage, or do we require a degree?
So can you please write down which degree did you mean here, Adar? Because if you mean degree, I just want to understand completely before answering that. If it was mentioned as a cybersecurity degree, so that you know, there is no such thing so far. What I'm asking is, can we get a job after? Yeah. So after the certificate, that's what I was mentioning, that you will be able to show that this is equivalent of the Security Plus, CompTIA Security Plus equivalent, and based on that, there is that demonstration that you need on your resume or CV to show that you have the skills. So in security, it's more about having a degree which might be relevant to your IT or the other ones, but having the skills shown through the projects or maybe the certification or such programs, that makes you takes you to the criteria for being an early career applicant. So do we have to take the CompTIA Security Plus exam separately? That is all up to you. If you are not going to, but my recommendation is, if you are going to stay in this field, go for it and apply for that. Most of the people learn the skills for even CISSP and they don't appear for industry standard exams or certification exams. If you think you're going to stay in the field, and this is not just for on the side that you have done, it is the field you are serious about, I would say this would be a starting point for you, and then you take the exam and then go for the next one and don't stop for the industry certificates.
So this is an interesting question. Do we go on the dark web?
No, I won't take it. This is an educational program, so we cannot go there.
What is the success rate of taking this certification?
So you have answers for that?
So this class is marked as complete or incomplete. There is actually an attendance, I believe, to successfully complete the certificate. You have to submit all of your assignments, of course, and also attend at least 75% of the courses. So as of right now, I mean, anyone who has taken it has completed the certification, or sorry, this certificate. So yeah, it's pretty, I guess the success rate is pretty high. I mean, if you submit everything and you attend the live online instruction, then it should not be an issue for you to successfully complete this course. Understand the certification is about a month and a half, but can we get extra time on assignments and exams? Can we do retakes? Dr. Saini, do you Would you be able to answer that one? Oh, you're on mute.
Okay, I was reading the question. I just closed there again. Actually, there will be sufficient time for you to complete the assignment, and I can assure you about that. And for retakes, yes, I think you can do that, but eventually what will happen, the activities, we will also have the demonstration through our live sessions. So if you have completed it, you will be sharing it, and having that discussion will make you actually complete it anyway. So it's kind of built in a way so that it's integrated and you are doing it portion by portion, and it's not just till the end that you have to have like a long report to submit. By that time, you will have all different chunks, and then you just have to compile by the end. So I'm hoping that that would cover, and you would not need extra time. And the other
Does our
question
camera
yeah.
need to be on?
I think I cannot enforce that, but at least for the audio, I would say yes. I like to have like discussions, so and also hearing from the other people, and especially if it's a smaller class for few people, it is definitely important. So one of the things with the live synchronous classrooms is it's not one just pure lecture based. It will have a lot of prompt questions that you would have to answer. It's more based on the scenarios and taking you from a kind of a journey again within every lecture. Okay, imagine you are this particular role, then how would you handle the situation? What kind of choices will you make? So I would not say camera, but for sure you would need an audio and mic working.
So is the fees provided for domestic or international? So the fees is listed in Canadian dollars, and currently there is not a payment plan. If that is an issue or a concern of yours, please contact us at continue@uwindsor.ca. Is there a limit how many people can attend the class? Yes, there is a class limit. Typically, I'll have to look it up. That's a good question. But if you want to email us that, I can let you know what the maximum class size is. But typically, we like to keep it pretty limited, pretty small. Anyone else have any questions? We have a few minutes left. It's good questions.
I actually have a question for the audience. I want to know if somebody here has, or a few of you have, a background in security, or are you already a professional or planning to get into this field? Yeah, so I think if you have that psychology degree, I just mentioned it quite a few times. That's super interesting because you can have a different point of view when you come to security, and that is one of the things needed in security, which is diversity. Having different diverse academic backgrounds really flavor it up and seeing it from different sides. Otherwise, there are so many blind spots, and technical people cannot often see those because they are really working into those algorithms and building the systems. But the organization and the management needs to see that, and from that standpoint, it might be quite interesting for you to learn this. Okay, so I think if you have worked with them, you would have some sort of understanding of the field already, kind of a prerequisite for you. The legal department. Okay, that's actually my niche in the V2X technology. I work on location privacy, and yeah, it has a lot to do with the legal and seeing that from the legal standpoint and what kind of information should go and retain and what to do with the information. Super important in the coming times where we are having GDPR and similar acts and laws. So yeah, think it's going to be good for you to really know. So one other differentiation I want to make, I forgot to mention, cybersecurity is actually typically seen as the privacy is seen as a part of security, but actually cybersecurity is more technical and privacy is kind of a notions that you have to build through security practices. So if you're interested in that, so privacy will also be encompassed in security certificate. And Sue, that's all from me. I think we don't have more comments or questions.
Great. Yeah. I'd like to know that I can land something on this view. So employment for like in terms of continuing education, like if you're taking one of our courses, employment is not guaranteed. Like you'll have to look and see what's the qualifications are depending on the role and apply accordingly. So that's something that we wouldn't be able to assist with. In terms of job prospects. So the one thing that we would recommend really is looking at Job Bank or Indeed to see what postings are up currently that would match your skills and their job requirements. And really the fee is in terms of the quality of content and the knowledge that you'll be gaining. That is sort of what we're basing the fee on as well. Again, with no experience and successfully completing the certification, would I be able to land a job or would I have to further studies? I mean, there's always potential. So this program offers sort of like experience for like entry level type of positions. So you can again look at what's being posted currently in terms of the need and demand and look there based off of what you're learning here and whether or not it matches up or whether or not you're a good fit for that role. And then if you want to continue your studies to, Dr. Saini, you could probably speak to this as well, is cybersecurity is ever evolving and always changing. And so like updating your knowledge and updating your certification as you're working is very important as well, correct?
Yeah, so I think the intent of this question is after completion of the certification. If you're taking this certification or cybersecurity certificate as the only sole certificate and you apply as soon as possible, like right after completing it or while you're doing it, then there are chances because one thing that you should keep in mind for prospective employer that would be looking for one thing is your willingness to learn in security because you need to show them that you are with at the same pace and how are you going to demonstrate it. Like if you have a pathway in plan already, then you can showcase to them that I'm planning to complete this certificate and then next is this and next is this. So you can even ask the industry that would you be able to provide the assistance for the same. So this is typical in security industry. So it would not be just the one stop for you. You can actually move ahead later on.
Okay, I guess that ends our session. It's exactly 1 p.m. So thank you everyone for joining. Again, any questions, email continue@uwindsor.ca. Thank you, Dr. Saini, for your time here and talking very in depth about the program and about the industry. Appreciate everyone and thank you.
And thank you everybody for joining here.